right fit awaits. Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ziprecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free, and you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ziprecruiter.com/free. Once again, that's ziprecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I volunteer with United Way to help the homeless in my community learn computer skills and build a basic resume. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Broadcasting from the Kanowski-Bresney studios comes the radio medium Laura Lee Show.
I feel like you had to let him go.
Yes, he was on life support.
You've taken on the burden for his passing. Is that true?
That is right.
There's something to do with a Barbie doll.
He used to stick the old school Barbie dolls in the cake.
Oh my God, you're giving me goosebumps right now.
The radio medium Laura Lee Show. Tune into your spirit every Tuesday at 4 p.m.
You're tuned in to Money Matters Boston, 1120 AM WBNW. This is the Money Matters Radio Network, WBNW 1120 AM and W275CM FM, Concord, Boston. The Money Matters Radio Network.
When a heart stops, the clock starts. You are the first responder until help arrives. In that moment, 4 minutes equals brain damage. 6 minutes equals too late in an emergency. The first responder is you. We need you. Will you be ready? Learn CPR. Visit heart.org/nation. That's heart.org/nation.
Here at the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, we are committed to all students not only attending, but succeeding at school. Your presence is powerful. Share why you attend at doe.mass.edu.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education.
It happens all over Massachusetts.
Can you tie my shoes?
In every home and every community.
Be careful on your bike.
Learning can happen anytime, anywhere.
We'll see you at practice this weekend.
And no matter how learning takes place in your family's life, DESE is there as your partner. The Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Never stop learning. Find out more at mass.gov/back-to-school.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department for Elementary and Secondary Education.
As a busy mom, my to-do list is full.
While we can't add more hours to the day, we do have a great resource to help.
Go Red for Women has information to help you and your family live a healthier life.
Visit goredforwomen.org/momlife today.
A trust can do a lot more than simply pass assets to your family. Certain trusts may help keep your estate out of probate, protect assets for your children, and in some cases, even help reduce estate tax liability. Cushing & Dolan has created a new guide called Demystifying the Top Estate Planning Trusts. It breaks down some of the most commonly used trusts in estate planning, including trusts designed to help families plan for long-term care, protect beneficiaries with special needs, and help keep life insurance proceeds outside of a taxable estate. You'll also learn why simply having a trust isn't enough, because if it isn't properly funded, it may not accomplish the goals you expect. To get your free copy, call Cushing & Dolan today at 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699, or request the guide online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for, and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and/or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Hi, this is Chuck and Mike from the Armstrong Advisory Group, and our guide this month is on understanding required minimum distributions. Mike, every year there's a new group of people that gets faced with the fact that they have to take money out of retirement accounts at a certain age, what are the rules of the road?
Yeah, so for your own retirement accounts, and this is pretty universal now, the age used to be age 70 and a half. A lot of people have that number stuck in their mind. These days, if you were born in 1960 or later, the age you need to be focused on is the year in which you turn 75 years old. That is when your required minimum distribution from your traditional retirement plan or account is going to begin.
How much does someone have to take from that retirement account each year?
So it's based on your life expectancy at the time. Rounding, it's close to 4% in that first year. But by the time you're in your 90s, it's then approaching 10%. So it's this sliding scale. But again, this is all based on your own retirement account. And there are all sorts of complexities and ins and outs with this. So I don't want to oversimplify things. If you've got a 401k, that's different than having an IRA. If you inherited your retirement account from a loved one that wasn't your spouse, there's a whole series of other rules that will apply to you. And so it's complicated and you need to focus on it.
Our guide this month is titled Understanding RMDs, and there are two ways you can request it. The first is by calling 800-393-4001. The second, go to ArmstrongAdvisory.com. That phone number again is 800-393-4001 or visit ArmstrongAdvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. The Financial Exchange is produced by Money Matters Radio and is hosted by employees of the Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. All opinions expressed are solely those of the hosts, do not reflect the opinions of Armstrong Advisory or anyone else. Investments can lose money. This program does not offer any specific financial or investment advice. Please consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong Advisory and the advertisers heard on this program do not endorse each other or their services. Armstrong and Money Matters Radio do not compensate each other for referrals and are not affiliated. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Mike Armstrong. Your exclusive look at business and financial news affecting your day, your city, your world. Stay informed and up to date about economic and market trends, plus breaking business news every day. The Financial Exchange is a proud partner of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. Help us support our great American heroes by visiting dav5k.boston and making a donation today. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Mike Armstrong.
Friday here on the Financial Exchange, and it happens to be a Jobs Friday. 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time today, we received the Bureau of Labor Statistics jobs report, commonly known as the employment situation. Actually, uncommonly, but that's the official title. And look, gotta tell you, Oprah's hanging out at the BLS because you get a job, and you get a job, and you get a job, and you. Third straight month of good jobs numbers. In fact, I don't give many A's to jobs reports.
Oh, this is an A.
This one
for this
is
economy, this is an A.
Not for this economy, Michael. Not for this economy. There is no qualifier needed on this jobs report. This is an A. 172,000 jobs created compared to expectations of around 100,000.
That follows 179,000 in April.
No, Michael. That follows 214,000 in April because we also had positive revisions. Okay, actually, no. April was 179. March was 214. Sorry, I got my months confused. But positive revisions, these are great signs as well. One of the things that you see at turning points in the labor market is when things are worsening, you see negative revisions. We covered that last year. Like, there were negative revisions like every month. It's like, my goodness, the jobs numbers were even worse than we thought. This one is, no, like the late arriving data to the BLS is coming in better. So this is really good. The last 3 months now, averaging 188,000 jobs created. That is fantastic. I don't care whether you're talking about right now, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. This is a really good number for jobs.
Right. And those revisions, again, what happens here is they send out surveys to businesses. The businesses sometimes get back to them, sometimes don't, sometimes get back to them late, and they use those later submissions to revise the numbers upward or downward. And as you can imagine, right, if you're a business that is in the thick of things, either hiring spree or firing spree, you might not respond to a survey right away, which is why these turning points sometimes can be defined by big revisions.
Labor force participation rate stable at 61.8%. I haven't gotten into the 25 to 54 yet, but I'm sure I will at some point. Unemployment rate stayed at 4.3%. That is good to see. 3 straight months that we've been in that range. And remember, as we've talked about, 4.3% is historically low.
Yes.
Like, that is not something where you're like, oh, like, this is, No, like that's a good number to see. We covered it earlier this week that the only couple times that you've seen in recent history below that, peak of the tech bubble in late 2019, I throw out 2021 and 22 just because that labor market was not sustainable in any way with how hot it was. So, again, I think like you look at the data that we have here, and it's pretty darn good. The other thing that I will say, this is not what I would qualify as a soft 4.3%. It's not because of rounding. It's not like it was 4.349. It was 4.29.
I'll ask a question that I know the answer to, but I think is worth asking. You've added now close to 600,000 jobs over the course of the last 3 months?
Yes.
How do you do that without the unemployment rate going down?
2 different surveys is the obvious answer. Household survey has been a little bit weaker over the last couple of months. If you take a look at the employed numbers from March through May, we're basically the same there. So we do have a little bit of a divergence that's built between the 2 surveys because the survey of businesses is what gives us the job growth numbers. The survey of households is what gives us the unemployment rate. We still had 149,000 jobs added this month in the household survey, so they were aligned this month. Last month, there was a disagreement as the household survey reported around 220,000 jobs lost, whereas the establishment survey had that 179,000 jobs added.
Staying on the establishment survey for a moment, one of the nitpicky items that people who are critics of the last few months of job creation have been pointing at, or the last few years rather, has been that, it's all healthcare jobs, and, you take that piece out and job growth looks really poor. Not the case in the month of May. We saw big growth from areas other than healthcare. We still did see big growth from healthcare, but local government increasing by 55,000. Leisure and hospitality adding 70,000 jobs in May. You saw the spread a little bit more diversification in terms of the job creation over the course of the last month.
Mike, it's not just the month of May. The last 3 months now, when we look at private payrolls, ex-healthcare and education, we are averaging north of 100,000 jobs added there over the last 3 months. Mm-hmm. The last time that you could say that was 2023.
Who looks at that specific statistic over year? That's
well.
wild.
I'm looking at the chart here.
Yeah.
No, like it's not a year-over-year thing. It's the last 3 months.
Yep.
The last time we've seen job growth in the private sector like this, excluding healthcare and education, you got to go back to 2023.
Yep.
So here is finally one other piece, because this always comes up like when we see this, because again, we always get people texting in like, well, these numbers are just made up. Guys, the BLS isn't making these numbers up. They don't make them up on the good side. They don't make them up on the bad side. They try to do the best they can at figuring out where these numbers are. And I can tell you, if you're sitting out there saying, Chuck, this can't be true, I've applied to 1 million jobs, nothing's happening, it's not saying that your specific situation isn't accurate. It is saying that your read on the broader situation is not matching the data from, and here's the piece I really like to come back to. It's not matching the data from the BLS, which is a government organization. It's not matching the data from Indeed, which is a private organization, from Paychecks, which is a private organization, and finally, from the IRS in terms of their tax collection receipts, which is, you can't really fudge that. It's not a survey when we talk about payroll tax collections. That's not something where you're just like, well, maybe I'll send them in this month. No, they're taken out of your paycheck. There's no lying about what that collection is. So broadly, we are seeing signs that in the last few months, the labor market is picking up. If you want to say, hey, that's great, but it's not working for me, that's true. We still do have a sluggish hiring rate overall. I'm not debating that. But when it shows, when we talk about how this is actually showing up in the data, there's absolutely been a turn in the last 3 to 4 months in particular after we were really concerned about the labor market in the second half of last year. Let's take a quick break here. When we come back, we got to talk about how this affects the Fed because, got to tell you, they're not going to cut, and if they do, it would be one of the most insane moves I have ever seen from a monetary policy perspective since I've been doing this, which is almost 17 years. Let's take a quick break. When we return, we're talking about the Fed and this jobs report.
Stay informed and prepared for market changes and breaking business news. The Financial Exchange is live every day on YouTube. Tune in, subscribe, and keep up to date on all of our show's content on a daily basis. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
This is Susan Powers from the Armstrong Advisory Group. When it comes to Social Security and Medicare, the decisions you make today can have a lasting impact on your retirement. There are key choices to consider, like when to claim, how spousal and survivor options work, and whether your Medicare coverage is aligned with your needs. Without a clear strategy, it's easy to overlook how taxes, income, and healthcare costs all connect. Join us for a complimentary educational seminar on Thursday, June 25th at 5 p.m. at the Marriott in Quincy. We'll help you understand your options and the decisions that come with them. That's Thursday, June 25th at 5 p.m. at the Marriott in Quincy. Reserve your seat today by calling 800-393-4001. That's 800-393-4001 or register online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. A trust can do a lot more than simply pass assets to your family. Certain trusts may help keep your estate out of probate, protect assets for your children, and in some cases, even help reduce estate tax liability. Cushing & Dolan has created a new guide called Demystifying the Top Estate Planning Trusts. It breaks down some of the most commonly used trusts in estate planning, including trusts designed to help families plan for long-term care, protect beneficiaries with special needs, and help keep life insurance proceeds outside of a taxable estate. You'll also learn why simply having a trust isn't enough, because if it isn't properly funded, it may not accomplish the goals you expect. To get your free copy, call Cushing & Dolan today at 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699, or request the guide online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
In a heartbeat, you could be the difference.
Mark collapsed from cardiac arrest.
9 out of 10 people who suffer cardiac arrest outside the hospital don't survive.
It took 30 minutes of chest compressions to finally feel a pulse.
Most of the time, it's because no one nearby performs CPR. But together, we can change that. Extraordinary things happen when people take action. A small step, a simple skill, a life-saving moment. HeartWalk brings communities together to create health and hope for every heartbeat. Every walker who joins HeartWalk, every dollar donated, means more people trained in CPR, more research, and more life-saving moments for everyone. Take the first step and register for your local HeartWalk. Extraordinary starts with you. Join HeartWalk today. Find your local HeartWalk at heartwalk.org.
Let's talk LDL. AKA bad cholesterol. The higher your LDL cholesterol, the higher your risk of a heart attack or stroke. Your health matters. Know your number. Talk to your doctor and get your cholesterol checked. And learn how to help lower your LDL bad cholesterol. Because your health is in your hands. Find out more at heart.org/LDL.
Environmental nonprofit Ocean River Institute is working with communities to tackle climate change with nature-based solutions that feature slowing water down and building more soil with grasses and plants. Research indicates that people acting in their own neighborhoods can build an inch of soil in a year and slow sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
Get up-to-the-minute market updates with Wall Street Watch, weekdays at 10:30, only here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
The Financial Exchange is a proud partner of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. Registered today for this year's DAV 5K on Saturday, November 7th at Fort Independence on Castle Island. If you're not able to participate, you can still support our great American heroes by visiting dav5k.boston and making a donation today. Your participation helps provide vital services like free transportation to medical appointments and safe housing for single veterans and their families. Donate today at dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
Mike, have you ever used money?
Yeah.
Okay. If you're familiar with money, the institution charged with maintaining monetary stability, stability of prices in the United States, along with full employment in the United States, is the Federal Reserve. And the Fed meets 8 times a year, and at those meetings they say, hey, here's what we're going to do with the money in the United States. The next Fed meeting is coming up in 12 days, by the way. Sneaky quick. I know that it feels like we just had one, but June 17th is the next Fed meeting date. And as of right now, there's a 96.2% chance that they are going to do nothing, a 3.8% chance that they are going to cut interest rates by 0.25%. If you buy that, I've got a lot of bridges to sell you because the Fed's not going to be cutting at their next meeting after this jobs report that we just got. Here's the deal. You have inflation right now, depending on the metric that you want to look at, running anywhere between 3.8 and 6%. 6% is the producer price index, which none of us feel, so it's not really there. I'll say you generally have inflation right now running somewhere around 4%. That's fair. Core inflation is running, CPI and PCE, you're running, call it 3 and increasing.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the deal. The Fed funds rate right now is at 3.5 to 3.75%. There is absolutely no way, no how that the Fed is going to cut interest rates with 3-month job growth at 188,000. They don't look at that, but what they do look at is the unemployment rate, which has been stable. So you got an unemployment rate stable, job growth increasing, and inflation increasing. If any of y'all out there are hoping for a Fed rate cut sometime this summer,
it's off the table.
You need to recalibrate what your expectations are.
Or mortgage rates down, or really any cost of borrowing getting better for us. It's just kind of...
Mike, here's the deal. If these jobs numbers are legit in terms of their ability to continue into the future, unemployment's not going to be 4.3% at the end of this year.
Right, it has to come down.
It's going to be 4%.
Yeah.
Because the labor force is not growing that quickly. And so when you start seeing pressure to the downside on unemployment and pressure to the upside on inflation, I got to tell you, there's only one way that the Fed can move at that point. It's up.
I want to make this not just about oil for a moment, and I know you did. You talked about core inflation, but I look at this moment, and maybe Kevin Warsh disagrees with me, but I think plenty of policymakers on the Federal Reserve would agree. Even if you take out the oil price shock, the complexities of demand from the AI boom right now, you can make a very compelling argument that in the short term look inflationary. The industry as a whole is driving up prices on so many things that it is crowding out all sorts of other spending. And, again, all else equal outside of a recession, it looks to me like you have just ferocious demand gobbling up all sorts of resources over the course of the next year or so, which has to result in all else equal higher prices. I just, it's not going to, the AI demand I don't think is going to necessarily affect food prices, but show me a scenario.
Yes, that's the benefit of the robots. They don't need to eat.
Although, who knows? Maybe if it's driving up energy prices, then it does drive up food prices. But
Think about, can we power this computer on a carrot?
Even think about one area that we all really care about, housing, right? So you are Pulte Homes and you're trying to build a 3,000 unit development in Florida. Can you find the electricians and plumbers to go do that right now? Or are they all busy building data centers at this moment? I'm saying that a little bit tongue-in-cheek. You can find them. But genuinely, this moment is being defined by this AI boom, and I know there's been descriptions of it, hey, this could be disinflationary in the future. Maybe, but not right now.
Mike, I want to ask you a couple of simple questions. Was the Strait of Hormuz closed on December 31st of 2025?
It was open.
Okay.
I mean, I wasn't there. They might have been celebrating the new year. It might have been temporarily closed, but I think it was open.
Well, I don't know if they ever closed the strait.
Fireworks time.
They have now, but
I cannot think of a worse place to have a fireworks show.
It's probably true. Was the Strait of Hormuz closed on January 31st, 2026?
It was not.
Had the Strait of Hormuz just been closed one day earlier on February 28th, 2026?
Yeah, right around then.
It actually might not have been closed until that day. The reason that I ask this is because these are 3 months of data before the Strait of Hormuz closed. And here are the core PCE numbers for those 3 months.
Core PCE being an indicator of inflation outside of oil and food.
Yeah, specifically, it's like the Fed's preferred inflation measure. 0.3% for December, 0.4% for January, 0.4% for February. You add those together, you get 1.1%, which works out to an annualized rate of around 4.4%.
So pre-war acceleration with oil added on top to fuel the fire.
Correct. And this is before memory prices went nutty and everything, and who knows what the next iPhone 18 is going to be priced at, because the RAM in it's probably going to be more than your previous iPhone alone. So the place that I'm going with this is, hey, even if you look at the last 2 months and you add it to that, okay, now you've got 1.6% inflation, because we did see a cooling in April on the core PCE number. Now you got 1.6% inflation over the last 5 months. Still works out to 3.84% if that were to continue for the next 7, at that same pace. Core inflation at 3.84 and Fed funds rate at 3.5 to 3.75 does not meet any rule for how monetary policy can be restrictive. And here's the problem. The reason why this matters, talk to any of your friends from Brazil, and they will tell you the stories about how when they used to go to stores, there'd be a guy there with the price sticker, and you had to stay ahead of him because he was repricing things higher from the previous day. And so you had to beat him in order to get yesterday's pricing.
Don't worry, Chuck. We adopted our technology for that because now there's digital price tags all over the grocery store.
The reason why this matters is when central banks lose credibility on inflation, number one, inflation tends to go nutty. Number two, the long end of the yield curve, 10-year, 20-year, 30-year, tends to go nutty as well because investors say, fine, you're not going to be credible on the inflation front. I'm not going to buy your bonds at 4.5% interest for 10 years.
Right.
If there's a chance that all that gets eaten up by inflation. So what this means is that the Fed right now, if they were to attempt to cut, number one, they could try, but it would backfire because the very rates that they want to keep low would move up in response to the fact that the Fed would be seen as not credibly addressing inflation. The best move for the Fed, counterintuitively, is to really aggressively try to tamp down on inflation. But here's the rub.
Signal a willingness to raise rates.
Correct. Here's the rub. Even the Jay Powell Fed, even the Jay Powell's the only one who had to deal with inflation in the last 40 years.
Yeah.
The Jay Powell Fed never wanted to raise rates unless the market forced its hand. Mm-hmm. We talked about the poor job they did in the first half of 22 being way too slow to hike. And I don't anticipate that, given what Kevin Warsh has said over the last year or so as he campaigned for the Fed chair job, that Warsh is going to suddenly be like, you know what? I said all this stuff. but I'm going to do a hike in my first meeting.
Yeah, I doubt that as well. But I will say for a moment here that I see no one other than Kevin Warsh who has signaled lower rates that's going to be voting at the next Federal Reserve meeting.
Yeah.
So, like, I have concerns about what Kevin's been talking about on the, if you want to call it the campaign trail for his job, but there's nobody left at the Federal Reserve other than him that has spoken publicly about that, and so I suspect that the Fed will be capable of maintaining its credibility. But I'm now thinking that this press conference and the written statement from the Federal Reserve is one of the more important ones we've seen in years. Probably since 2022, in my view.
Just to see what we get. Yeah, I do agree. Nothing's going to come out of it from a policy perspective, but the guidance, I think, will be interesting. Quick break here. When we return, we've got Wall Street Watch.
Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter @TFE Show. Breaking business news is always first, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network. Without the right estate plan, your family could face unnecessary costs in the future. The right trust may help your loved ones avoid probate and better protect family assets. Get Cushing & Dolan's new guide called Demystifying the Top 8 Estate Planning Trusts by calling 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699. Or request it online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
This is Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts has helped me and countless others adjust to civilian life through a variety of incredible programs. Through our local Veterans Assistance Program, we provide necessary services to veterans and their communities, such as food shopping, landscaping, and companionship, but we need your support. You can help by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
It happens all over Massachusetts.
Can you tie my shoes?
In every home and every community.
Be careful on your bike.
Learning can happen anytime, anywhere.
We'll see you at practice this weekend.
And no matter how learning takes place in your family's life, DESE is there as your partner. The Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Never stop learning. Find out more at mass.gov/back-to-school.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department for Elementary and Secondary Education.
Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. One missed retirement deadline could cost you thousands of dollars. Our new guide, Understanding RMDs, breaks down the rules for required minimum distributions, including when you have to take them and what can happen if you get it wrong. This isn't just about taking money out of an account. Your RMDs may affect your tax bracket, the taxation of your Social Security, and even whether you pay higher Medicare premiums. This guide also covers common mistakes people make, like forgetting about old retirement accounts and mishandling inherited IRAs. If you have money in a retirement account, this is information you need to know. Call us right now at 800-393-4001 to get your free copy of Understanding RMDs. That's 800-393-4001 or request the guide online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
Our Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren and Representative Ayanna Pressley are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
This is Tucker Silva of the Financial Exchange Show, and I'm joined today by estate planning attorney Todd Lutzke from the law firm of Cushing & Dolan with your Financial Exchange Quick Tip of the Day. And today we're talking about your new guide, Todd, Demystifying the Top 7 Estate Planning Trusts. If there are younger families out there, should they consider having a trust in place, and what type?
Most people don't think about it when you're young, but if you're a young family, meaning you've got minor children, you might not have a ton of assets yet, but you want to make sure that what you do have is protected for your children. You could probably use a revocable trust. I don't think you need an irrevocable trust, but a revocable trust. You put your assets in. Again, they're going to avoid probate. Again, it may or may not be a big estate tax issue at the moment, but whatever you have, your children can't own, right? They are minors. So you don't necessarily want to leave your assets to a guardian and have the guardian deal with everything when you can design a trust to hold the assets and ensure how and when and where and why they get these assets. Just pick the right trustee, put the language you need in the trust to control it for those children, and the trust will accomplish that task. So just because you're young, folks, doesn't mean you shouldn't think about your estate planning. Sometimes it's not all about the money and the probate and the taxes, but more so about the family behind the estate plan.
The estate planning experts at Cushing & Dolan have been helping families like yours for more than 30 years, and they have written a brand new guide called Demystifying the Top 7 Estate Planning Trusts. Call right now for your free copy, 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699. Or you can request it from their website, legalexchangeshow.com.
The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing and Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated. Time now for Wall Street Watch, tracking the stocks, the data, and the headlines driving markets so far today, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
We're seeing more rotation out of the tech sector as Wall Street digests the May jobs report, where 172,000 jobs were created in May, much higher than estimates of 88,000. Unemployment rate also held steady at 4.3%. Treasury yields climbed higher following the jobs report in anticipation of a potential rate hike from the Fed this year. Right now, the Dow is down 0.25%. S&P 500 down just over 0.9%. NASDAQ selling off about 1.7% or 451 points. Russell 2000 down over 1.5%. 10-year Treasury yield is up 5 basis points at 4.53%. And oil down nearly 2%, trading right around $91 a barrel. After dropping 13% yesterday in reaction to its underwhelming sales forecast, Broadcom down another 5% today. Other chip makers, including AMD, Intel, and NVIDIA, continuing to see losses as well. Meanwhile, Lululemon tumbling 7% after the leisure retailer reduced its full-year earnings and revenue guidance, citing headwinds including negative commentary around the brand and a weak response to new products. Elsewhere, DocuSign lifted its revenue guidance for the year, where its AI-powered platform helped increase its profit and revenue in the previous quarter. However, the stock is down by 5%, and JP Morgan upgraded Chipotle to overweight from equal weight, citing the company's same-store sales growth in the first quarter. Chipotle shares up by 5%. I'm Tucker Silva, and that is Wall Street Watch.
Mike, we got a piece here from the New York Times. It's titled, "For New Graduates, Job Market Scars Could Linger for Years."
Just stop with this.
Tucker, do we have any, do you have... Can you give me, the soundtrack from...
The World's Tiniest Violin?
No, something... Can you give me, the soundtrack from... What's a really, downbeat one?
The Pianist?
You thinking an orchestra type of thing?
Yeah, give me...
All right, stand by.
Give me something that's just, sad.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. So, Tucker's pulling up some sad music that we can listen to here.
Just keep going.
And... Well, no, I want to time it to, the start of this.
Okay.
So, here we go. You ready?
Kind of. Hold on.
Okay, he's almost ready. This is actually the song I was thinking of.
Oh, wow. Look at you.
Look
at us.
Okay, what two movies is this song the main song from the soundtrack?
Shutter Island.
And what's the second one?
I don't know.
Arrival.
Ah.
Anyways. Young college graduates are facing a gloomy economic future. Confronting the toughest job market since the depths of the pandemic, they are likely to make less money in the long term and have more trouble advancing their careers, economists warn. There are going to be lasting effects, said Lisa Kahn, economist at the University of Rochester. The cohorts that were lucky enough to just finish a little bit earlier, a little bit later, I think are going to be doing better. The full impact of graduating into this hiring downturn will not come into focus for years, and much remains uncertain, especially about AI's role. Okay, that's enough, Tucker. So here's the deal. I'm a millennial, which means I eat my avocado toast 3 times a day, complain about everything, and have all my participation trophies in my living room.
Correct.
I was also
Been seen 'em.
told that my generation was going to have lasting scars from when we came into the workforce. And this is not to say that like everyone just like came out of everything like perfectly fine, but here's what it is saying. When you look at things in terms of either salary or net worth at inflation-adjusted numbers and compare it to baby boomers, Gen X, you basically see we're either doing the same or better in many cases as a whole.
Wow.
It's not to say that individual millennials are not struggling. I'm sure some of you out there listening are like, Chuck, like, I'm really having a tough time. I get it. I'm not talking about you personally. I'm talking about millennials, the 70 million of us that exist as a whole.
Rates of home ownership are about the same, if not better than where they were.
Net
for
worth
people at
is the same or
age.
better. Incomes are the same or better. And so I'm not saying that there isn't a risk of, Gen Zers having a tough time. But I also want to, look at this in terms of, listen, here's the deal. If you look at millennials and when they graduated from college and came into the workforce, they were coming in with unemployment double what it is today.
I want to even take a step back and let's go more recent. This isn't the toughest job market since the depths of the pandemic. Last year was.
Correct. So,
this is just factually inaccurate, New York Times. Pull some data and actually support your argument. The unemployment rate in May of 2025 for people between the ages of 20 and 24 was 8.2%.
What is it now?
It is now 7.2. It was worse last year.
A full percentage point improvement. And
if you want to show me some data that tells me it's worse now, then I will listen to you. But I don't see it. You didn't cite any. You gave me nothing.
Guys, I really think that we need to acknowledge that the data that we have on this topic, how does the environment in which you begin work affect your full career earnings? That data set's got some real problems because it's a small sample size of 4 business cycles for which we have good data. And just because there's one that was skewed, and by the way, that one is, interestingly enough, Gen X is the one that always does end up kind of getting screwed in all these conversations, but partly because no one ever pays attention to them, but it's usually them, so I'm sorry, Gen X.
Oh, thank you.
I feel for you because you're the ones that no one wants to acknowledge, even though your pain is greatest. But when we look at the millennials, they turned out in the aggregate just fine economically, even though they came in the worst hiring environment in 100 years.
A significantly worse one than we're facing right now.
Yes.
So much worse. And look, I was hearing from somebody whose nephew or somebody had graduated with a computer science degree recently, and they've spent a year trying to find a job in that space and haven't. I don't know the context, but their brother got an engineering degree, and guess what? Employed, doing well, everything's great. You're going to have a really tough time convincing me that somebody that just graduated from, I don't know, UMass with a nursing degree or from Cornell's, what's their hospitality school that they have there? It's like the school of...
I don't know, the Cornell Hospitality School.
It's like the School of Hotel Management or something like that. Those people aren't having a tough time finding jobs right now. It's just... Yes, there might be some pressure in some areas where AI seems to be having a big effect, and those people might be having a tough time finding a job. But in the aggregate, things are so much better than they have been at very recent times in history that I find these stories to be, I'm sorry, laughable.
If I've said this before, if you transported a Gen Zer back in time to the summer of 2010 and said, go get a job... They would be crying. They would be putting together TikToks that haven't been invented for 10 years yet because they're so sad about just what the prospects look like. I'm just we can't always say, man, college grads have it so hard. There has to be some time in history that college grads had it easy.
By the way, granted, I don't want to pick on the Gen Zers too much because... Fair enough.
No, the Gen Zers aren't the ones who wrote this.
Right, that's my point. It's I don't know many Gen Zers, but I don't hear from them about this problem.
No,
I hear about all their professors all the people speaking at their graduations and the New York Times about how tough they have it, rather than from the kids who are graduating. And honestly, from what I can tell, seem to be putting their nose down and applying to jobs.
And now, by the way, starting to
So
get
maybe it's
more
not
of
that
them.
problem.
Now that early 20s unemployment is dropping. So, look, we just can't always have it be the worst. I know that bad news sells and everything, but sometimes things are just okay. They don't always have to be the worst or the best. I think this hiring environment is
okay and improving.
It's okay and getting better. Yeah. It's last year was bad and getting worse.
Yeah. This
year is okay and getting better, and that's fine. It doesn't always have to be amazing or awful. Sometimes it can just be okay, we'll figure it out and move on. Which is what you have to do with most things in life, is figure it out and move on. So we're going to do that. We're going to move on from this segment by taking a quick break. And when we come back, Anthropic is telling us that we're all going to die if we don't pause research on AI as they continue to do more research on AI. We'll discuss.
That's right.
Find daily interviews and full shows of the Financial Exchange on our YouTube page. Like us on YouTube and get caught up on anything and everything you might have missed. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network. A trust can do a lot more than simply pass assets to your family. Certain trusts may help keep your estate out of probate, protect assets for your children, and in some cases, even help reduce estate tax liability. Cushing & Dolan has created a new guide called Demystifying the Top Estate Planning Trusts. It breaks down some of the most commonly used trusts in estate planning, including trusts designed to help families plan for long-term care, protect beneficiaries with special needs, and help keep life insurance proceeds outside of a taxable estate. You'll also learn why simply having a trust isn't enough, because if it isn't properly funded, it may not accomplish the goals you expect. To get your free copy, call Cushing & Dolan today at 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699, or request the guide online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for, and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and/or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. One missed retirement deadline could cost you thousands of dollars. Our new guide, Understanding RMDs, breaks down the rules for required minimum distributions, including when you have to take them and what can happen if you get it wrong. This isn't just about taking money out of an account. Your RMDs may affect your tax bracket, the taxation of your Social Security, and even whether you pay higher Medicare premiums. This guide also covers common mistakes people make, like forgetting about old retirement accounts and mishandling inherited IRAs. If you have money in a retirement account, this is information you need to know. Call us right now at 800-393-4001 to get your free copy of Understanding RMDs. That's 800-393-4001, or request the guide online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
Sometimes we know what's next. Other times, it's impossible to know. Life can change in an instant. Don't be caught standing by the next time someone's heart stops. Knowing CPR gives you the ability to act and takes you from bystander to lifesaver. CPR is a life-saving skill. Join the nation of lifesavers today by learning CPR at heart.org/nation. National support for CPR education provided by Elevance Health Foundation.
As a busy mom to 4 kids, my to-do list is full.
Trying to fit in exercise, eating right, and prioritizing self-care can feel next to impossible.
While we can't add more hours to the day, we do have a great resource to help.
Go Red for Women has easy tips, tools, and information to help you and your family live a healthier life.
So to all the moms, the aunts, the grandmothers, and amazing women out there doing it all,
visit goredforwomen.org/momlife today.
You take care of them, Go Red for Women will take care of you.
When a heart stops, the clock starts. You are the first responder until help arrives. In that moment, 4 minutes equals brain damage. 6 minutes equals too late in an emergency. The first responder is you. We need you. Will you be ready? Learn CPR. Visit heart.org/nation. That's heart.org/nation.
Is it a stroke? Even if you're not sure, act fast and call 911. Signs can include face drooping on one side, arm weakness, speech difficulty, or not making sense when talking. Time is critical. A stroke requires immediate medical care, which starts as soon as the ambulance arrives. So if you see any sign of stroke, act fast and call 911. Visit mass.gov/stroke, sponsored by the Massachusetts Department of Public Health.
Daily financial content in your feed when you want it. Follow the Financial Exchange on Instagram. This is the Financial Exchange.
Anthropic is a company. They make intelligence that is artificial. And they recently, I think this was yesterday, they put up a blog post because everyone's just blogging these days. And they said, quote, "We believe it would be good for the world to have the option to slow or temporarily pause frontier AI development to enable societal structures and alignment research to keep up with the advance of technology." Basically, they think that they're going to get to the point in the next couple of years where the AIs will be able to do all of the work improving themselves, but we don't know what the consequences of that might be.
Yep.
Two things are true, in my opinion. Number one, Anthropic has an IPO coming up probably in the next couple months now that they are likely trying to gin up as much excitement for as possible. And one of the ways that you do that is by telling people that your technology is so powerful that we need to stop developing it because otherwise we might end the world.
Yeah, it's a nuclear arms race, effectively, and we need to have some way of pausing it because that's where it's heading.
So I do think some of this is, like...
Some of it's hype.
You're not going to get every AI company just be like, okay, we pause, we'll take a break, like water break, like... No, that's not going to happen. But the other piece is, and this is evidenced by what we found out after their Mythos release to a small group of companies a couple months ago.
Yeah, my read on this is Mythos genuinely scared the leadership at Anthropic and elsewhere.
Well, and I think it scared a lot of like these financial institutions and tech companies.
Yeah.
So the two things that I think can be true, yes, there's some scary stuff that we definitely need to sort through on AI. But I also think some of this is them trying to gin up excitement for their IPO. And I also don't think that any amount of time is going to allow us to possibly develop the proper safeguards that we need. Because I don't think those safeguards can be instituted at the corporate level. I think they would need to be at the governmental level. And I don't think our politicians know enough about this to be able to make informed decisions. And the reason why is because I think there are probably a couple hundred people in the world that know enough about this to be able to make informed decisions, and they're not in any government.
Yeah. Well, frankly, if we're going to use the nuclear analogy here and drive it home, it took a pretty big event before anybody agreed that we should put the pause on that.
Yeah.
Two of them.
So this is something that like you have heard at AI conferences, which is, okay, like when are we finally going to actually like take a step back and make sure we're doing the right thing?
When something really scary happens.
And like the stuff that I've heard has been like when tens of millions of people die because of something related to AI, which isn't like a great answer, but it's kind of what we do with most new technologies. It's just that most ones aren't this broad. Like when you look at airplanes in the 1950s and 60s, like airplane crashes were relatively common back then. You know, like how many times did you hear about, you know, this crash that killed like these celebrities and this one that killed this sports team and this they were pretty common back in the 50s and 60s. And we learned, okay, like you have to make these improvements and this is the safety stuff that you put in. And flying is now as safe as it's ever been and basically safer than any mode of travel ever has been. but it took us a while to get there.
Did Sam Cooke die in a plane crash too?
Stand by.
Tucker will research that. The problem with AI is that if the equivalent of a plane crash happens, it's not necessarily affecting the 100 people on that plane. It could affect millions of people in ways that we don't understand right now, depending on the applications that you have in place. And that's the issue with this as opposed to other new technologies. Hey, if you were trying to wire a house with electricity, for the first time back in the late 1800s and you did it wrong, the house would burn down and it might kill the people in the house. Not saying it's not sad, but it's 5 people. If AI has something that goes badly, it's hundreds of thousands or millions of people potentially, depending on the applications.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Like the development of other technologies couldn't affect that many people negatively that quickly.
Right.
This one has the potential to. I'm not saying it will, but like that's the risk. Is we always move forward being like, okay, we think we're doing the right thing, and it turns out that we're not because inevitably there's something we didn't think of. Or it's something that we did think of, but are like, well, we'll take the risk anyways. It's different here because the whole planet's potentially using this stuff.
Folks, a few more weeks to sign up for our retirement planning seminar on Social Security and Medicare Essentials. We've been doing this roadshow. It's going to be on June 25th at the Marriott in Quincy. It's free to sign up. You must register ahead of time, and space is limited. It will fill up in all likelihood. Susan Powers, Effie Vasulis, both be presenting on Social Security and Medicare, all those questions you have leading up to retirement about how the program works and how to maximize your benefit from each. You can register at armstrongadvisory.com/events, or if you have questions, you call 800-393-4001 and someone can help you get registered over the phone. But again, armstrongadvisory.com/events, June 25th, 5 p.m., Quincy.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
Tucker was kind enough to send over some texts from listeners. You can text us at 617-362-1385. You can just tell us hi, or you can tell us that we're doing a great job, or specific comments, or you can tell us that we're losers and you don't like us. Any of that's fine. 617-362-1385. One text, maybe younger students need to be taught modern history along with economics. Listen, as a history major, I think everyone should have to take way more history than they do because, again, the past, history doesn't rhyme. History doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme. And I do think, learning from previous mistakes is important, and also just giving you some broader context for who you are. What's this one about?
This one is making the point that we made, which is the employment situation is better in the aggregate, but bad for some areas. So true for all majors. Funding cuts to biotech have made the job market terrible for recent college graduates, even with solid resume with internships and 4.0. Difficult to apply for jobs with bot doing the HR work. Yes, absolutely. There are entire industries, entire majors that the job outlook sucks right now.
But that's always the case. There's always an industry or a major where the outlook sucks. It rotates and it moves, but there always is. Let's take a quick break here. When we return, we've got Hour 2 coming up, and it's going to be really fun.
Environmental nonprofit Ocean River Institute is working with communities to tackle climate change with nature-based solutions that feature slowing water down and building more soil with grasses and plants. Research indicates that people acting in their own neighborhoods can build an inch of soil in a year and slow sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
Let's talk LDL. AKA bad cholesterol. The higher your LDL cholesterol, the higher your risk of a heart attack or stroke. Your health matters. Know your number. Talk to your doctor and get your cholesterol checked. and learn how to help lower your LDL bad cholesterol. Because your health is in your hands. Find out more at heart.org/LDL.
Without the right estate plan, your family could face unnecessary costs in the future. The right trust may help your loved ones avoid probate and better protect family assets. Get Cushing & Dolan's new guide called Demystifying the Top 8 Estate Planning Trusts by calling 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699. Or request it online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
This is Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts has helped me and countless others adjust to civilian life through a variety of incredible programs. Through our local Veterans Assistance Program, we provide necessary services to veterans and their communities, such as food shopping, landscaping, and companionship, but we need your support. You can help by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
In a heartbeat, you could be the difference.
Mark collapsed from cardiac arrest.
9 out of 10 people who suffer cardiac arrest outside the hospital don't survive.
It took 30 minutes of chest compressions to finally feel a pulse.
Most of the time, it's because no one nearby performs CPR. But together, we can change that. Extraordinary things happen when people take action. A small step, a simple skill, a life-saving moment. HeartWalk brings communities together to create health and hope for every heartbeat. Every walker who joins HeartWalk, every dollar donated, means more people trained in CPR, more research, and more life-saving moments for everyone. Take the first step and register for your local HeartWalk. Extraordinary starts with you. Join HeartWalk today. Find your local HeartWalk at heartwalk.org.
This is the Money Matters Radio Network, WBNW 1120 AM and W275 CM FM, Concord, Boston. The Money Matters Radio Network.
Is it a stroke? Even if you're not sure, act fast and call 911. Signs can include face drooping on one side, arm weakness, speech difficulty, or not making sense when talking. Time is critical. A stroke requires immediate medical care, which starts as soon as the ambulance arrives. So if you see any sign of stroke, act fast and call 911. Visit mass.gov/stroke, sponsored by the Massachusetts Department of Public Health.
Our Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren and Representative Jake Auchincloss are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
A trust can do a lot more than simply pass assets to your family. Certain trusts may help keep your estate out of probate, protect assets for your children, and in some cases, even help reduce estate tax liability. Cushing & Dolan has created a new guide called Demystifying the Top Estate Planning Trusts. It breaks down some of the most commonly used trusts in estate planning, including trusts designed to help families plan for long-term care, protect beneficiaries with special needs, and help keep life insurance proceeds outside of a taxable estate. You'll also learn why simply having a trust isn't enough, because if it isn't properly funded, it may not accomplish the goals you expect. To get your free copy, call Cushing & Dolan today at 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699, or request the guide online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
This is Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts has helped me and countless others adjust to civilian life through a variety of incredible programs. Through our local Veterans Assistance Program, we provide necessary services to veterans and their communities, such as food shopping, landscaping, and companionship, but we need your support. You can help by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
9 out of 10 people who suffer cardiac arrest outside the hospital don't survive. Most of the time, it's because no one nearby performs CPR. Every walker who joins HeartWalk means more people trained in CPR, more research, and more life-saving moments for everyone. Take the first step and register for your local HeartWalk. Extraordinary starts with you. Find your local HeartWalk at heartwalk.org.
Hi, this is Chuck and Mike from the Armstrong Advisory Group. We've got a guide available this month on required minimum distributions. And, Mike, I want to talk about common mistakes that we see. Sure. Let's start first. People not understanding the difference between inherited and non-inherited IRAs.
Yeah, so if you've ever inherited an account that is retirement in nature, you've dealt with these complicated rules. And to make it more complicated, the rules have changed over the last several years. But suffice to say, unless you meet some very specific scenarios, in most cases, if you inherited an account from a non-spouse, then you're going to have 10 years to empty that account, pay any of the taxes that are due on it, and move along. But in addition, there are annual required minimum distributions, and it is very complicated.
What about a situation where someone tries to delay taking their RMD? What kind of problems can you run into there?
Well, one, if you delay your first year RMD, then you're going to have to take 2 in the same year, and that can really add to the tax burden. But more generally, if you just wait to deal with your future RMDs until you're 73 or 75 years old, you just have fewer options. It's going to bump up your income. You may end up paying higher taxes. You may end up paying higher Medicare premiums. Your Social Security could become more taxable. So it pays to plan early when it comes to RMDs.
Our guide this month is titled Understanding RMDs, and there are 2 different ways you can request it. The first, you can go to armstrongadvisory.com and request it there. The second, call 800-393-4001. That number again is 800-393-4001, or request it at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. The Financial Exchange is produced by Money Matters Radio and is hosted by employees of the Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. All opinions expressed are solely those of the hosts, do not reflect the opinions of Armstrong Advisory or anyone else. Investments can lose money. This program does not offer any specific financial or investment advice. Please consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong Advisory and the advertisers heard on this program do not endorse each other or their services. Armstrong and Money Matters Radio do not compensate each other for referrals and are not affiliated. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Mike Armstrong. Your exclusive look at business and financial news affecting your day, your city, your world. Stay informed and up to date about economic and market trends, plus breaking business news every day. The Financial Exchange is a proud partner of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. Help us support our great American heroes by visiting dav5k.boston and making a donation today. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Mike Armstrong.
Chuck, Mike, and Tucker with you here, and as we kick things off today, stocks as a whole, just it's not really their day so far. Well, interestingly enough, it actually is a lot of stocks day. It's just not the right stocks day. What I mean by that is the S&P 500 is down 1.06% right now, about 80 points. But if you take a look at the index right now, 58 more S&P 500 stocks are up than down. It's just the ones that are down are the big ones, the ones that occupy big chunks of the index. Little companies by the name of Broadcom down 4.7%, NVIDIA down 3.9%, Meta down 2%, Microsoft down 1.5%. It's just hard for the index to overcome that, which is why the last 3 years, the interesting thing, the safest place for the index to be has been with a small number of stocks leading the charge, but that also represents the biggest risk to the index because if that small group falters, things tend to not necessarily go well. It's what we've seen for the last few years at least. So S&P 500's off about 1.1%. Dow's only off 0.25% because it doesn't have much in the way of semiconductors and stuff. NASDAQ Composite, though, down 2%, getting hit pretty hard. 10-year Treasury getting hit as well, off 5.9 basis points to 4.536%. This on the back of a hot jobs report where we now have 3 jobs reports in a row with over 175,000 jobs added. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. And so you've got a labor market that seems to be heating up right as inflation is heating up, with a new Fed chair heading into his first meeting 12 days from now. It's going to be interesting to see what occurs on the 17th of June. Dollar index rallying 0.41% to 99.785. This on the back of that hot jobs report and rising 10-year yield. Gold, as you would expect, getting bludgeoned down 112 points, or $112 rather, to 43.93. We've got crude oil down 1.78, $1.78, I guess is how they say that in English. $1.78 off on crude to 91.26. AAA national average for gas prices down another 2.1 cents. So we're at 4.22 nationally. Based on where crude prices are, you can probably get into that 4.15 range. So you got another 6-7 cents to go in the short term before we hit bottoms if crude prices hold in this range. And that is what is moving in markets. SpaceX IPO, it's going to be next Friday. And they're going to be trying to raise $75 billion. It's, blah, blah, blah. Did either of you catch the news late yesterday, though, from Standard & Poor's, the ones who run the 500?
I have not.
Yeah.
S&P announced their methodology changes for the index. Number one, the first consideration was for the IPO seasoning period to be reduced from 6 months to 12 months, from 12 months to 6 months.
Okay.
The result of that change, no change instituted. They did not reduce the waiting time for an IPO to be seasoned.
Sorry, so they proposed this and it failed. So they are keeping the 12-month requirement.
The way it's been before, IPOs needed to be traded on an eligible exchange for at least 12 months before being considered. They were considering reducing that to 6. They said, no, we're not going to do that. The investable weight factor, the IWF minimum, is waived for mega cap companies. Companies passing certain market cap criteria typically right now need to have a float-adjusted market cap that's at least 50% of the total company value. So basically like half of your... The question was, hey, can we reduce that from 50% down to 10? No change. They rejected that change as well. Finally, S&P 500 companies right now, or at least to be considered for them, they have to be net income positive on generally accepted accounting principles for the most recent quarter and the sum of the 4 most recent consecutive quarters. They were going to put in a financial viability exception for mega cap companies. They did not make that change, which means Standard & Poor's is the only one of the major indices that did not make changes to allow for SpaceX to be included in that index shortly after it IPOs. So this sets up a fascinating experiment here that, quite honestly, we've never seen something like this before. It's going to be really interesting to watch how the major indices diverge over the next 12 to 24 months when SpaceX is included in places like the NASDAQ and the Russell 1000 and things like that.
Yeah.
But not included in the S&P 500.
So the S&P 500 is not an investable index.
No.
So just to you see it on the TV, it reports there are a number of funds that are designed to track said index.
Yes.
But the S&P 500 in and of itself, you can't go buy.
You can't invest in an index. It's on every financial disclosure ever.
I am not convinced that every fund company is going to continue to track that.
What do you mean?
So you have S&P 500 funds from Vanguard. You have them from State Street. You have them from BlackRock, Fidelity, everybody.
Everyone does.
They don't need to do what S&P Global is saying. They can say, hey, we are making this exception and we are no longer going to track the S&P 500.
I would imagine that they would have to change
the name of the fund.
Not just the entire prospectus has to be changed.
Yeah.
But why would you do that?
I don't. Again, I don't know, but I'd be surprised if some of them don't follow that because again, S&P Global is massive. It's not just the S&P 500 funds, presumably, that are tracking this, but all of the sector funds that S&P builds as well are going to reject this holding from the index as well, I would assume.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand what. So you think that some of these funds are going to say, no, we're not going to do that?
Yeah, I think some of them are going to say we're going to build a new custom one, or we're going to change the rules of our own index fund to not follow this rule. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Why would they do that?
Because they want to attract flows from people looking to buy the SpaceX IPO after it goes.
But who's going to buy it if it's not an S&P 500? Think about where most flows come from to S&P 500 funds. It's 401ks.
Yep.
And individuals wanting to buy the S&P 500.
Mm-hmm. So
where's the person that wants that if SpaceX isn't in says, no, give me the S&P 500 but with SpaceX and doesn't just go buy the NASDAQ?
I don't know. I think that person might exist. Like I think you might be successful in marketing an S&P 500 plus SpaceX fund.
I'm kind of.
We're gonna see. We're gonna see. This is again, whether you like the rule or dislike the rule, this is a pretty big stand that S&P is making, and it is going to cause, like you said, much wider divergence on the S&P 500 compared to other indices that track the markets.
I don't think,
I also think
companies, because they all already have products that are going to capture SpaceX.
Yeah, maybe
anyone who wants to invest in SpaceX in a mutual fund or an ETF
can go buy the fund that
you can go buy the NASDAQ. You can go buy the Russell 1000. You can go buy all these different ones.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
It's going to be a weird period of time, and I also, other than the people listening to our show who listen all the time, I don't think the public's going to be aware that SpaceX is not being tracked in these indices.
No, of course not.
They're going to have no idea.
No.
They're going to generally assume that because I own a broad fund that tracks the S&P 500, naturally I would own one of the largest companies in the world, and they won't.
Let's take a quick break. When we return, let's see. We covered that. Oh.
We're going to play trivia when we return.
Well, yeah, I know. But I'm trying to build a multi-piece tease because
meat on the bone, if you will.
Some people like the trivia. Some people like what comes after the trivia. And so you're just going to have to stick around to see what's next because it's going to be something. And
it
Mike
was
interrupted
supposed to be
me.
a guest, but then they canceled during the intro of our show.
Hey.
It was great.
Hey, it's going to be just fine.
We got plenty to cover.
Let's go to break right now.
The Financial Exchange is live on SiriusXM's Business Radio Channel 132, weekdays from 11 to noon. Get the latest business and financial news from across the country and around the world, and keep up to date on how it might affect your wallet. That's the Financial Exchange, weekdays from 11 to noon on SiriusXM's Business Radio Channel 132. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network. Without the right estate plan, your family could face unnecessary costs in the future. The right trust may help your loved ones avoid probate and better protect family assets. Get Cushing & Dolan's new guide called Demystifying the Top 8 Estate Planning Trusts by calling 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699. Or request it online at LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
This is Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts has helped me and countless others adjust to civilian life through a variety of incredible programs. Through our local Veterans Assistance Program, we provide necessary services to veterans and their communities, such as food shopping, landscaping, and companionship, but we need your support. You can help by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. As you age, the IRS stops asking you to save for retirement and starts insisting that you take money out. Those withdrawals are called required minimum distributions, and if you don't take enough, you could face a penalty of up to 25% of the amount you were supposed to withdraw. If you wait too long to take the first distribution, you could end up with 2 taxable withdrawals in the same year, which might push you into a higher tax bracket or increase your Medicare premiums. Our new guide, Understanding RMDs, covers this issue and others to help you prepare for this important retirement deadline. Get yours today by calling 800-393-4001. That number again is 800-393-4001, or you can request the guide from our website, armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
In a heartbeat, you could be the difference.
Mark collapsed from cardiac arrest.
9 out of 10 people who suffer cardiac arrest outside the hospital don't survive.
It took 30 minutes of chest compressions to finally feel a pulse.
Most of the time, it's because no one nearby performs CPR. But together, we can change that. Extraordinary things happen when people take action. A small step, a simple skill, a life-saving moment. HeartWalk brings communities together to create health and hope for every heartbeat. Every walker who joins HeartWalk, every dollar donated, means more people trained in CPR, more research, and more life-saving moments for everyone. Take the first step and register for your local HeartWalk. Extraordinary starts with you. Join HeartWalk today. Find your local HeartWalk at heartwalk.org.
Sometimes we know what's next. Other times, it's impossible to know. Life can change in an instant. Don't be caught standing by the next time someone's heart stops. Knowing CPR gives you the ability to act and takes you from bystander to lifesaver. CPR is a life-saving skill. Join the nation of lifesavers today by learning CPR at heart.org/nation. National support for CPR education provided by Elevance Health Foundation.
Here at the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, we are committed to all students not only attending, but succeeding at school. Your presence is powerful. Share why you attend at doe.mass.edu.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education.
Remember, you can watch the show live every day on our YouTube page. We've got market updates and breaking business news all morning long, plus a full archive of all our show's content. It's all there with the click of a button at youtube.com/The Financial Exchange Show.
Time for trivia here on the Financial Exchange, and on this day in 2013, the first article based on the NSA leaked documents by Edward Snowden were published by the Guardian newspaper in the UK. Shortly after the release of the leaked documents, Snowden fled the country for Hong Kong. Now he resides in Europe. So, trivia question today, which country is Edward Snowden living in right now? Once again, which country is Edward Snowden living in right now? Be the third person to text us at 617-362-1385 with the correct answer, along with the keyword trivia, and you win a Financial Exchange Show t-shirt. Once again, the third correct response to text us to the number 617-362-1385 with the correct answer, along with keyword trivia, will win that t-shirt. See complete contest rules at financialexchangeshow.com.
Americans on GLP-1s are overwhelming retailers with their non-stop returns. This is the headline from the Wall Street Journal. And yeah, look, if you look at the data, the average weight loss on GLP-1s right now is pretty significant.
What are we talking, like 40 to 50 pounds? I
Yeah,
think?
and the next generation of them, you're talking like 70 to 80 pounds that are being shown in the recent trials. And apparently, people don't know what size to buy when they lose that much weight. I get it. I mean, I totally understand. So here's what we're seeing right now, and again, this is not just this is not people just shopping online more. A guy who runs the budget suit retailer Flex Suits has seen a 50%. I don't know. Tucker.
Just reminds me of Flex Seal. It's just Flex Suits.
That's what the suits are made out of.
It's not terribly breathable, but it.
Yeah, I guarantee
it locks you in tight.
You won't leak. They've seen a 50% increase in returns in the past year. 50%. Like that's not an. They're also. Quote, when a customer orders the same suit in 2 or 3 sizes, that's a red flag, the owner said. Yeah, I could see that, Yeah,
there's also nothing you can do about it.
No. The problem is that because of the shipping, the guy says he's losing money on it. Well, you're going to have to change your shipping costs then. Like, it's that, or hey, you can only buy, like...
I don't have a lot of pity because this is the consequence of moving so much of our retail online.
Right. If you don't want to have returns like that as a suit salesman, sell your suits in stores.
Yeah. So I'm sure this happens in stores to a larger degree now too, because there's situations where other people are buying clothes. There's situations where you're suddenly a new size or you've just gone on the GLP-1. Like all of these things I'm sure are occurring in store too. But yeah, I mean, look, you killed the shopping mall and sorry, now you have to deal with excess returns because of a new inventive weight loss drug.
Yeah, it is. Can we just talk about some trends in shopping that we're seeing? Just because I just saw an interesting stat.
Please.
It's not related to shopping so much. It's more about food and food trends.
Mm-hmm.
When's the last time that you waited 30 minutes or more in line to eat a specific food or at a specific restaurant? Not like, oh, we got there early and our reservation wasn't for a while, but you said, no, I need to stand in line for over 30 minutes to wait at this place.
Never. Probably the closest I've ever come was, at one of those festivals where there's food trucks and there's massive lines to go to the food
Yeah,
truck.
but that doesn't count. You've had like
Agreed.
a half dozen beers and you're like, oh, I've only been here for 2 minutes. Like, it's fine.
Agreed.
So here's the deal. This was a question asked by, I don't know who asked the question, but they surveyed 3,000 people across Gen Z, Millennials, Gen Xers, and Boomers. 90% of Boomers said, no, I have not waited half an hour in line to eat a certain food or at a certain food place. 66% of Gen Xers said, no, haven't done that in the last year. Only 44% of Millennials said they hadn't done it. And only 42% of Gen Zers said they haven't done it.
Half an hour or more for some trendy food item is presumably what you're getting here?
I think what's interesting to me is that and this is not entirely my own insight. This is kind of the conversation that's going on a couple social media platforms.
Sorry, before you go on, I will say that this kind of financially, economically makes sense. Younger people value their time of the value of time a lot less than older people do.
Maybe. But does this say something about how people are willing to spend their time also? In that you've got Gen Zers, again, they're the highest one, but millennials too, that are saying, yeah, I'm willing to go somewhere and wait just to try what it is. Whereas Gen Xers and Boomers are saying, no, I haven't done that. Why would I do that?
I think this all has to go to the time value of money.
I don't think it does.
I have a 27-year-old au pair that lives with us, and she, on her birthday, took the entire day to go around from retailer to retailer to take advantage of all the birthday deals and came home with all this stuff.
Sure.
No chance in hell I would do that. And I think that all has to do with, again, how you value your time and what dollar amount you put on an hour of your time. And for a 20-year-old, that's a lot less than a 70-year-old.
I don't think like that. And I know that like this is like a money show, but like I don't sit there and I'm like, well, how much money is it going to cost me waiting for this? I'm like, no, like case in point, there is a fantastic local bagel place that if you want to get bagels on a Sunday morning from it, they open at 8. If you're not there at 7:30, you're going to be waiting an hour in line instead of a half hour. So I've gotten there multiple times at like 7:20, so I'm the first person in line for when they open. And because it's the only way to do it. I don't sit there and say, well, this is going to cost me X dollars waiting in line. It's like,
I don't think anybody thinks that way. But I do think that when, the older and more mature you are, I think the less willing you are to spend a whole bunch of your time sitting in a line doing nothing.
Because you're wasting proportionally to the time you have left alive.
Yeah, I don't know if it's dollars or death, but I think one of those two is
I'm not going to waste a half hour of my life before I die.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one
it
is.
is.
Also, you're just busier as a human being when you're in your 60s.
Boomers? What do you mean you're busier? Half the boomers are retired now.
When was the last time you talked to one of your boomer clients and they told you that they are not busy? Every single one I talked to is like, I don't know how I ever had time to do any of this stuff.
Like, my parents are busy, but it's like, we've got canasta this way. I've got mahjong this day. Like, again, let's put it in perspective. You can wait in line. Sorry, Mom.
I'm confused. Are you arguing for or against waiting in line?
For. I'm very pro waiting in line for things that are worth it.
Got it.
And I just found this interesting. Let's take a quick break, and when we return, we've got the trivia answer.
Bringing the latest financial news straight to your radio every day. It's the Financial Exchange on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Is it a stroke? Even if you're not sure, act fast and call 911. Signs can include face drooping on one side, arm weakness, speech difficulty, or not making sense when talking. Time is critical. A stroke requires immediate medical care, which starts as soon as the ambulance arrives. So if you see any sign of stroke, act fast and call 911. Visit mass.gov/stroke, sponsored by the Massachusetts Department of Public Health.
Our Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren and Representative James McGovern are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. As you age, the IRS stops asking you to save for retirement and starts insisting that you take money out. Those withdrawals are called required minimum distributions, and if you don't take enough, you could face a penalty of up to 25% of the amount you were supposed to withdraw. If you wait too long to take the first distribution, you could end up with 2 taxable withdrawals in the same year, which might push you into a higher tax bracket or increase your Medicare premiums. Our new guide, Understanding RMDs, covers this issue and others to help you prepare for this important retirement deadline. Get yours today by calling 800-393-4001. That number again is 800-393-4001, or you can request the guide from our website, armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
In a heartbeat, you could be the difference.
Mark collapsed from cardiac arrest.
9 out of 10 people who suffer cardiac arrest outside the hospital don't survive.
It took 30 minutes of chest compressions to finally feel a pulse.
Most of the time, it's because no one nearby performs CPR. But together, we can change that. Extraordinary things happen when people take action. A small step, a simple skill, a life-saving moment. HeartWalk brings communities together to create health and hope for every heartbeat. Every walker who joins HeartWalk, every dollar donated, means more people trained in CPR, more research, and more life-saving moments for everyone. Take the first step and register for your local HeartWalk. Extraordinary starts with you. Join HeartWalk today. Find your local HeartWalk at heartwalk.org.
This is Tucker Silva with the Financial Exchange Show, and I'm joined today by estate planning attorney Todd Lutzke from the law firm of Cushing & Dolan with your Financial Exchange quick tip of the day. And today, we're talking about your new guide, Todd, demystifying the top 7 estate planning trusts. Now, do you lose control if you transfer your assets to an irrevocable trust in order to protect them from long-term care expenses?
Well, you know, that's great when you mention that irrevocable trust, but limit it to the kind of trust where you're protecting it from the cost of long-term care. Because as the guide says, there's 7 different kinds of trust that we're trying to demystify. And there's also many kinds of irrevocable trusts out there, not just one type. So many people think there's just one type. But this particular type, where you're trying to protect it from the cost of long-term care expenses, the answer is no. You do not lose control over your assets. There's a whole spectrum of control with irrevocable trusts. And this one, you keep about 95% control. Like, you can live in your house, you can sell your house, you can buy another house, you can invest your money, you can manage your money, you can collect the income. Even the tax liability of these trusts are designed to be at your own rate. In other words, they are grantor trusts. You don't even pay any higher income taxes when you have this irrevocable trust. So this kind of trust, folks, you keep control and you protect your assets from the cost of long-term care.
Call right now for your free copy of Cushing & Dolan's comprehensive guide titled Demystifying the Top 7 Estate Planning Trusts. It will help you determine what type of trust is right for you and your family. Call 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699. Or you can request it from LegalExchangeShow.com.
The proceeding was paid for, and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing and Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated. Time now for Wall Street Watch, tracking the stocks, the data, and the headlines driving markets so far today, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
The sell-off in tech is accelerating by midday after the May jobs report this morning revealed 172,000 jobs were added last month, higher than estimates of 88,000. Unemployment rate held steady at 4.3%. Treasury yields are climbing higher in reaction to the jobs report, in anticipation of a potential rate hike from the Fed this year. Right now, the Dow is down just over 1/3%. S&P 500 down 1.25%. NASDAQ selling off 2.2% or 607 points lower. Russell 2000 down 1.8%. 10-year Treasury yield jumping 6 basis points at 4.53%. And oil down 2%, trading at $91 a barrel. After plunging 13% yesterday in reaction to its underwhelming sales forecast, Broadcom down another 5% today. Other chip makers, including AMD, NVIDIA, and Intel, seeing losses as well. Lululemon tumbling 8% after the retailer reduced its full-year earnings and revenue guidance, citing headwinds, including negative commentary around the brand and a weak response to new products. Elsewhere, electric signature company DocuSign lifted its revenue guidance, where its AI-powered platform helped increase its profit and revenue in the previous quarter. However, the stock down by 6%, and JP Morgan upgraded Chipotle to overweight from equal weight, citing the company's same-store sales growth in the first quarter. Chipotle climbing about 5% on that news from JP Morgan. I'm Tucker Silva, and that is Wall Street Watch. And in the previous segment, we asked you the trivia question. Where is it? Which country is Edward Snowden currently living in now? That would be Russia. And Scott from Dedham, Mass. is our winner today, taking on the Financial Exchange Show t-shirt. Congrats to Scott. And we play trivia every day here on the Financial Exchange. See complete contest rules at financialexchangeshow.com.
The mail's here. Here's the mail that never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want a whale. Mail!
You've got questions, we've got answers. It's time for the Money Matters Mailbag. We're tackling your calls and emails on everything from economic policy to global markets and everything in between. Leave us a voicemail at 339-399-4333 and you might hear it on the show. You can also email your question to tfeshow@gmail.com. Now, it's time for the Money Matters Mailbag.
All right, we got 2 questions into the Money Matters Mailbag in this week's edition, so Let's start with the first one here, Chuck and Mike. This is from, I don't have a name here. My wife's father passed away and left her about $230,000 in an IRA account. We have our 401ks through our jobs and plan on maxing out our Roths this year. We just need some guidance on what to do with money we thought we would never have.
I'll start.
Sure.
First, just some things that you're going to need to be aware of. If you inherit an IRA from someone who is not your spouse, unless you qualify in a couple specific situations, that account is going to have to be exhausted, fully emptied, and the taxes paid on the proceeds within 10 years. In addition to that, a chunk of that is going to have to come out each year as well. It's not 10%, 10%, 10%, but there is a required distribution that you'll have to make each year based on your age. And so that's something to be aware of, just to make sure you don't run into tax penalties that would result in any problems there. Beyond that, when it comes to like, hey, what do I actually do with this? It's a question of, hey, do you need the money in order to bolster your income in any given year? Like you're going to use that for spending right now. Or is that money that, hey, even after you withdraw it from the IRA in order to pay the taxes, that you want to keep invested somewhere because you have longer term goals that you're trying to accomplish? And so it's going to depend on what those needs are, because if you need that money annually in order to, use it for income, that portfolio likely has to be much more conservative given immediate income needs than, hey, I'm not going to touch this for 20 years aside from needing to pay the taxes on it.
But there's some interesting tax scenarios here. Again, we don't know your age, so that adds to it. But let's say your plan was to retire in 5 years, and you've got this account that has to be emptied in 10. One strategy could be take the minimum for the next 5 and then empty that thing out in the last 5 to balance out your taxes.
Yep.
Or another one could be, hey, take the money out but contribute a whole lot more to the 401k to offset the tax impact of having those withdrawals out of the IRA. They can't go into the 401k because only your income from work can, but you can effectively, use one for what the other would have covered anyway. So, yeah, there's some interesting tax scenarios to consider when you're walking into an inherited retirement account specifically, especially if it's needs to be taxed.
Good question, though. What else we got, Tuck?
All right, the final question for this week's Money Matters mailbag. I'm currently about $18,000 in debt from a car loan and credit cards. I've been hearing a lot about the snowball effect, where I tackle the smallest loan or credit card and then move on to the next, and so on and so forth. Some other people have told me to do the avalanche effect, where I pay off my highest interest debts. Which method do you prefer?
So I'll start here. When I started my career, I thought that the snowball strategy was frankly stupid. You in some cases end up paying off debt with a very low interest rate in favor of getting it behind you so you can focus on other things next. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Dave Ramsey is a big fan of this strategy to try and tackle one by one and start small and get to the big stuff. I thought that was kind of dumb because, you might end up sitting there with a 30% interest credit card and just ignoring it and paying the minimum payments on it in order to get a lower interest rate down. Having now worked with folks and seeing the psychology of this sort of thing over the course of the last 16 years or so, I will now admit that there can be some psychological benefit to getting those smaller items behind you so you can work on the bigger ones. So I've come around to that thinking a little bit. I think it depends on your situation, right? If you've had a change in your financial situation where without any reasonable doubt that you've made the changes to your life that you're going to be able to pay off that $16,000 of debt, I would absolutely go with the avalanche method of paying off the highest interest first and working your way down. If there is some degree of uncertainty to all of that, your job stability isn't there, and you've found yourself in this situation before, I think there is some compelling reason to consider, hey, let's tackle the smallest thing first, get it behind us, clip out that credit card, and move on to the next one after that.
I think it also depends on just the scale of like what we're talking about on the relative sizes. If the smallest one is going to take you 2 months to pay off, and there's, it's at, a 6% interest rate, and the bigger one is going to take you 3 years instead of 14% interest rate. Okay, like the small one's not going to like chew up too much time, so it's fine. If the smaller one is, a 10% higher interest rate, 10% lower interest rate, but it's going to take you 16 months to do, and the other one's going to take you 24 months to do, and it's 10% higher. Well, it's kind of tough to say do the small, like it's all relative on that.
Agreed. Yep.
It's if the smaller ones are actually quick and you can then like move through them. Yeah, I think that makes sense. If it's one of them is 40% of my debt and the other 60%. Well, I don't know about that. Like it's a tougher putt.
Yeah, from a purely mathematical perspective, tackling the high interest one first makes a heck of a lot of sense.
Yes.
But if all that happens at the end of that is you wind up in more credit card debt because you didn't put one of them behind you, then the math behind it is irrelevant.
Let's take a quick break. When we return, we've got Paul LaMonica joining us next.
Get real-time financial insight as news breaks. The Financial Exchange is live on X. Watch the show and follow us for the most up-to-date business news you need to know. This is the Financial Exchange.
Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. One missed retirement deadline could cost you thousands of dollars. Our new guide, Understanding RMDs, breaks down the rules for required minimum distributions, including when you have to take them and what can happen if you get it wrong. This isn't just about taking money out of an account. Your RMDs may affect your tax bracket, the taxation of your Social Security, and even whether you pay higher Medicare premiums. This guide also covers common mistakes people make, like forgetting about old retirement accounts and mishandling inherited IRAs. If you have money in a retirement account, this is information you need to know. Call us right now at 800-393-4001 to get your free copy of Understanding RMDs. That's 800-393-4001 or request the guide online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. A trust can do a lot more than simply pass assets to your family. Certain trusts may help keep your estate out of probate, protect assets for your children, and in some cases, even help reduce estate tax liability. Cushing & Dolan has created a new guide called Demystifying the Top Estate Planning Trusts. It breaks down some of the most commonly used trusts in estate planning, including trusts designed to help families plan for long-term care, protect beneficiaries with special needs, and help keep life insurance proceeds outside of a taxable estate. You'll also learn why simply having a trust isn't enough, because if it isn't properly funded, it may not accomplish the goals you expect. To get your free copy, call Cushing & Dolan today at 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699, or request the guide online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Environmental nonprofit Ocean River Institute is working with communities to tackle climate change with nature-based solutions that feature slowing water down and building more soil with grasses and plants. Research indicates that people acting in their own neighborhoods can build an inch of soil in a year and slow sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
As a busy mom to 4 kids, my to-do list is full.
Trying to fit in exercise, eating right, and prioritizing self-care can feel next to impossible.
While we can't add more hours to the day, we do have a great resource to help.
Go Red for Women has easy tips, tools, and information to help you and your family live a healthier life.
So to all the moms, the aunts, grandmothers, and amazing women out there doing it all,
visit goredforwomen.org/momlife today.
You take care of them, Go Red for Women will take care of you.
Our Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren and Representative Ayanna Pressley are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Sometimes we know what's next. Other times, it's impossible to know. Life can change in an instant. Don't be caught standing by the next time someone's heart stops. Knowing CPR gives you the ability to act and takes you from bystander to lifesaver. CPR is a life-saving skill. Join the nation of lifesavers today by learning CPR at heart.org/nation. National support for CPR education provided by Elevance Health Foundation.
From markets to money to business and financial news, watch The Financial Exchange every day on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and keep up to date on the market news you need to know. This is The Financial Exchange.
Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend.
As promised, we're now joined by the one, the only, Paul and Monica from Barron's, here to talk a little bit about SpaceX. Paul, how you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. How you guys doing?
We're doing well. You flying high after that Knicks winning Game 1, I bet?
Whew. Yes, indeed. Looking forward to tonight as well.
Yeah, Friday night. I know this one, it's still in San Antonio for tonight, right?
That is correct. Yeah, I'll be back at the Garden this weekend, I guess.
All right. Yeah. So let's talk SpaceX. We've got the IPO's a week from today, correct?
Correct.
And I'm curious because you've been through a number of these IPO cycles. Have you seen any individual companies that have gotten to this level of hype previously? The only one that I know, and again, like the only thing that I can compare it to, when Facebook went public, that had like so much interest as well. But I'm curious to get your take just in terms of overall hype and interest levels.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a difference between hype and then the sheer size and scale. So to answer your question, have we ever seen an IPO like this? The answer clearly is no, because no company in history, save for Saudi Aramco, has gone public with a valuation of this magnitude. I mean, 1.75 trillion. It's just staggering. There was a lot of hype about the Facebook IPO and a lot of skepticism going into it. I mean, it's almost comical to think now that, remember when Facebook went public, there were a lot of people saying, oh, why did Mark Zuckerberg pay all that money for Instagram? They spent too much.
How are they going to pivot to mobile?
Yeah, exactly. You're going to pivot to mobile. That'll never work. Everyone's still on their desktop Facebook. Yeah, he's having the last laugh there. And then Alphabet, Google, that was a widely hyped IPO, but neither of them were selling at a valuation, near their, the $1 trillion levels that they're at now. So this is unprecedented for SpaceX to be looking to go public at the valuation it's already at, because it's already appreciated so much in the private markets.
What are different brokerage firms saying about the ability of the IPO for retail investors who want to get involved? Like what avenues are available? Is it just going to be, hey, you got to buy at the market price after it IPOs? Is there any way for retail investors to get in? Like what's the situation?
Yeah, you have 5 brokerages that are working on allocations for individual investors. And it sounds like, Elon Musk really wants retail to be a part of it so that there's going to be a bigger portion than usual allocated to retail. I still don't think that means there's a great chance people will get as much as they want, because the demand is probably going to be extremely high. But Fidelity, Schwab, Robinhood, SoFi, and Morgan Stanley's E-Trade are the 5 brokers that will have retail allocations. It's interesting. Fidelity, I wrote a story earlier this week about how Fidelity usually has a $500,000 minimum for most IPOs that you need in a brokerage account. They've relaxed that and cut it to $2,000. So that's clearly just for SpaceX. So clearly they're expecting and trying to get retail investor demand for this offering. At last check, Schwab still had a $100,000 minimum account balance. That's the highest then of the 5, because E-Trade, Robinhood, and SoFi say that they are not going to have minimum balance requirements. Again, that doesn't mean you're going to get an allocation. Robinhood
Sure.
says it's going to be random in terms of how they allocate it, but I think there's a lot of speculation that for the other brokerages, if you have higher balances, you probably have a better chance. If you are a more active trader, you probably have a better chance as well. And in the case of SoFi, and I suspect this is going to be with the other brokerages as well, they are strongly urging investors to not flip this IPO. If you get a piece, they don't want you selling it immediately, or in the case of, immediately in this respect, that probably means within the first 30 days of trading, because that, I think, sends, a signal that, you might be more of a speculative trader or investor as opposed to a long-term buy and hold investor, which is the type of investor that I think Elon wants for SpaceX. So if you get an allocation, be careful. Don't flip it, because then the chances of you getting an allocation for another hot IPO like Anthropic or OpenAI down the road will diminish, because those brokers don't want to see people flipping these, the SpaceX IPO.
Can we talk about a couple things here?
Yeah.
First, why do they want a higher retail participation in this? Like, what would be the reasons for that?
Yeah, I think that Elon Musk is savvy enough to know that there are a lot of fanboys and fangirls, if you will, that love all things Elon. They are fans of Tesla. They are fans of SpaceX and some of Musk's other ventures, which now includes X, the former Twitter. So I think Musk realizes that trying to have retail interest will go a long way towards also, keeping the company in the eye of retail traders going forward. If there is this perception that the only people in the world that will be able to have access to SpaceX stock are the large institutional money managers, then that might alienate some of the retail investors that have been part of this kind of meme stock revolution of the past couple of years, which I think Tesla has been caught up in every now and then. So I think it's a savvy move on Musk's part. And, again, I think Fidelity recognizes that having a $500,000 minimum balance, that, excludes a lot of people who have smaller budgets to be investing.
Next, who was the broker that said, if you get this allocation, don't try to flip it?
SoFi specifically said that. I think Fidelity has on their website some guidelines for the SpaceX IPO, that includes the new $2,000 minimum, where they discourage people from flipping as well. So, I think that's going to be, something that all the brokerages are going to discourage. But, finally, I don't know if you want to ask about this, but I think it's worth noting that there are some funds, ETFs and other types of funds that already have SpaceX at the pre-IPO levels. That might be a better, slightly safer way to get in, although a lot of those funds have already run up as well because of the SpaceX hype.
Paul, appreciate you joining us. Thanks so much for the time.
Thanks a lot. Have a good one, guys.
It's Paul Monica from Barron's. Look, maybe I've just seen the end of Boiler Room too many times, but I'm just picturing the scene where he walks into the CEO's office and he's like, okay, you can have the IPO allocation, but tell him he can't sell. Like,
good luck.
That doesn't feel good when someone's like, you can have this, but you're not allowed to sell it.
Or we'll punish you if you do.
Like, that doesn't feel great. I'm not saying that, like, there's nothing scammy going on here. It's just like, why can't I sell it if it makes money?
20 seconds. Can we talk about something about the Knicks Spurs?
Yeah.
Get in the door on StubHub right now for the Monday night game at Madison Square Garden. $8,000 a ticket if you want to. Get in the door for tonight in San Antonio. You want to guess?
$1,200.
$640.
Yeah.
You can fly first. Well, you can't get there from New York right now is the problem. You cannot get a nonstop flight or a stop flight that will get you there.
Money.
But
it's about being.
I know it's about
in
being seen.
The garden. No, it's not being seen.
Crazy.
It's about being in the garden.
For some people, it's about being seen.
Well, yeah, but Ben Stiller can afford the tickets.
Chalamet.
Let's take a quick break here for the entire weekend. Hope you all have a great one, and we'll see you back here on Monday.